Get your Hue scores out and let's get to talking. Hello, I'm Gibson Shamar from Hikati Media, and today we will be talking about Psycho Pass Season 3. I watched the prior seasons years ago, and I had no idea that there was a third season or even movies. I thought it had stopped at Season 2, but was delighted to see a third season. We all know why we're here. We'll talk about the characters and then we'll talk about the show overall. This will be a bit tricky for me because admittedly the episodes ended up being a lot longer than I thought they would be, and considering how I actually wanted to watch Attack on Titan Season 4, but settled for this because I want to recap on AOT before starting the final season, it was a rough thing to go through, so bear with me and please keep that in mind while you watch the video. First up, we have the new lead of the show, Arata Shindo. He's on his way to becoming an inspector. He has this really cool investigative ability to recreate crime scenes when conducting an investigation. It's described as a sort of empathic ability, the same one Dom demonstrated in Fast and Furious when he was investigating Letty's death. He just recreates the scene and gets clues from what he sees. He's not as powerful as Dom though, because when he uses this ability, he gets tired and goes unconscious, whereas Dom just shrugs it off. Dom is more powerful than anime characters, yo. Shindo is seen as a kind person who is thrust into a cruel, unforgiving, practical world. He goes the way that every Boy Scout goes, seeing the best in people and their capacity to be good or change their ways. This leads him into a lot of conflict with his peers when they're investigating crimes. He's the guy that's always sleeping on the job but still gets the job done. Then we have the more conventional guy, K. Ignatov. There's just something about that name that's so cool. He's the more emotive one of the duo. Weird, right? One clearly is more emotional, but the other is more emotive. Ignatov is usually the one who tries to apply reason to what's going on, but is also the one who has more to live for. So he is very careful and very passionate about the things around him, especially his wife, who is blind and is undergoing a procedure to restore her sight. Yeah, things don't go well for him emotionally when she is endangered. He is good friends with Shindo and shows great concern for him, especially with regards to his empathic ability to recreate crime scenes. He often tells him not to use that ability, but always reluctantly accepts his friend's choice. We have an enforcer, Kazumichi Iri. He was raised in the slums and is the street-smart guy of the group. He's very proactive when it comes to problem solving and is always just waiting for that one good reason to shoot someone to take them out. This was especially evident when he and the team were sent to the slums of the city where the Sybil system doesn't detect people. And it was shown that he grew up there under an abusive transgender boss. Needless to say, the only thing that stopped him from killing her was the fact that he would be executed on the spot for it, since living under the Sybil system, he wasn't a person anymore. He was an expendable tool. He is a troubled man and has a lot to sort through regarding his trauma and his upbringing. We also have Mao Kisaragi. There isn't much to her character that I remember from the show. I remember that she is apparently innocent, but you can see her latent criminal tendencies. She is the usual average citizen of the day, competent at her job, but not really someone you would want to associate yourself with under the Sybil system. Then we have the bad guys. The bad guy of the season is a criminal organization called Bifrost. Bifrost is a machine that predicts the future by using weird calculations and algorithms, and the members of the organization bet on the outcomes. The main human baddie is Koichi Azusawa, a former rival of Shindo, who just straight up became evil and arranged for the accidental death of a refugee in the first episode, which triggers the case that is followed throughout the season. He wanted to become a part of Sybil, which would give him the power to govern society rather than be a subject to the rules and laws that are set, and was angry that he was not accepted. He has other associates, but they're not very deep and can be mentioned when I start talking about the show itself in a few seconds. So then on to the show itself. Well, the season. The season starts off with an accident that claims the life of a refugee who is trying to enter Japan, the only country in the world that hasn't been overtaken by crime. Good job in not making it USA like we're used to. But then again, this is a Japanese production. Why would it be US centric? Anyway, due to the safety and stability offered by Japan due to the Sybil system running things, people from all over the world have been flocking there, and the citizens are becoming increasingly frustrated with the influx of refugees because, well, they're taking up space and are an annoyance to deal with. There is a heated debate regarding how to deal with them, which is the primary basis of an upcoming election that takes place during the season as well, where the Public Safety Bureau has to protect the candidate. For a 6-episode season, there was a lot going on, but it all served its purpose. The Public Safety Bureau, composed of new characters mentioned above, leads the investigation while they also go through some messed up stuff on an individual level. This season doesn't deal with the duplicity of having something like the Sybil system governing society, bringing into question the utility or practicality of such a thing. It was such a deep theme that it was worth looking deeply into. Should we be judged based on our potential for evil, or should we be judged based on our evil acts? Sybil does the former, and those who are found to have the potential for evil acts are dehumanized and treated as less than human. I know that's redundant, but it's my show. Sorry. They become outcasts and are not allowed to do things that other people who are not latent criminals can do. To have some semblance of a normal life, these latent criminals enlist in the Public Safety Bureau and become enforcers. This has created a society that is unfamiliar with violence or any negative aspect of human nature. Although the previous seasons dive into this and its impact, this season just tells the story it wants to tell, since we've already seen the debates and different views that can be expressed already. This season just goes into the daily lives of the people without wanting to change it. The show is brilliantly animated and the story flows very well. It deals with other themes in its mini arcs, and that's where its strength lies. It was innovative to make all the events take place as part of a grand conspiracy despite some of the things seeming unrelated to each other. When you think it's over because they solved the murder case, nope, it's not. They still haven't arrested the people who are responsible for Bifrost. When they stopped the assassination attempt on the election candidate, it's still not over because we haven't arrested the people behind Bifrost. When we finally kill a couple of people in the last episode, we feel like it should be over, but it isn't. And that's because the main player in Bifrost is still around. I thought that this was because the season wasn't done yet, but it turns out that it was. It ends with a movie, which I still have yet to watch, but as far as we're talking about shows, it's over. The season wasn't really a step up from the previous ones. I guess I can call it an improvement over season 2, which felt like it was too short. This season had a different problem. It felt too long despite having fewer episodes. That's because despite the fewer episodes, the runtime was over 40 minutes for each one of them. That is very long for an episode of anime. I did not see that coming when I started, and only found out when the first episode was still going on after 26 minutes. My mind was not set for it. Honestly, I wanted to watch Attack on Titan Season 4, but I have to re-watch the previous seasons just so I can remember everything, since this is the last season, and because of that, I just grabbed the closest anime I could get, and this was it. I'm still re-watching the previous seasons of Attack on Titan. Anyway, I digress. Shindo was a very interesting new protagonist, adding to the list of very well-written anime protagonists that I'm compiling. He's a simple guy, but very deep and layered at the same time. His gentle nature borders on naivety or simply just willful ignorance. Because my guy is ready to give everyone a chance before they get executed, despite that being what the PSB is all about. He has a very good relationship with Ignatov, and I like how Ignatov is very practical with what he does. It's almost like they're brothers, but they're really close and know each other very well. Shindo is criminally asymptomatic, and this is what makes him stand out from the rest. This is like Akane, the lead in the previous seasons, whom I was surprised to not see in this season. Then I realized it's because she's been imprisoned for an undisclosed crime. It's probably because Sybil is trying to cover up the truth, that she found out in the previous seasons. So much for a perfect system, huh? I was happy to see that Kogami made a return as well. It looks like the Sybil system didn't see it fit to end him because of how useful he was. I'm pretty sure he was everyone's favorite in Season 1. I didn't recognize him at first because it's been such a long time since I watched the previous seasons. I watched Seasons 1 and 2 in 2017 and 18. I could barely remember him when I saw him. The bad guys are also cool. They just like to play around with people's lives like it's a game show. They orchestrate all sorts of chaotic events in society and then act like it was all part of the grand design. Then when things go wrong for them, they go like, no problem, we planned for this. There's a lot of stuff that we've seen in the past, huh? It's like poetry. It rhymes. That's just real crazy talk. They spend the whole season betting on events and the like, and trying to manipulate things to gain control. It's kind of the antithesis of Sybil, which does it for control. Bifrost does it for chaos. Geez, man, this is such a good show. Their plans are simple enough to understand. They just want to be the ones in control and are inciting chaos. They want to take down the Sybil system, all because somebody didn't qualify to be a part of it. Talk about bitterness. The villain's motivation works and creates a very strong argument for just how far a human being will go to prove themselves to be good enough for something, despite all the horrible things they have done to prove it, showing that they never were the best fit for it after all. It showcases the weakness of human judgment and pushes for the Sybil system's views. But then again, the Sybil system also takes it too far by calculating and determining whether we deserve basic human rights based on the probability of us committing horrible acts. The show defies the characters well enough for them to stand on their own as well. My favorite character is the transgender lady who owns the slums of the city. I forgot her name. It's not weird. She's just a weird figure and openly abuses her underlings. She can't even be prosecuted because they're latent criminals and so don't have rights. She had her comeuppance when we find out that she was involved with Bifrost. Like, dude, she used to put out cigarettes using people's tongues. Who does that? Freaking psycho. Very evil. But we gotta show how deplorable some human beings can be, and the show does an excellent job at that. The season does not disappoint at all. I like the shows that inspire intelligent arguments and conversations. Having characters who are flawed, who make bad decisions, can be selfish, or sometimes do things that people wouldn't normally do. A show with drama and very human elements. The thing is, a lot of shows these days don't do that anymore. They just have everyone doing exactly what the viewers say they would or should do. And if things go wrong, it's because, according to the viewer, the characters weren't written well or there was character assassination. There's also this weird tendency that people are developing these days of wanting the bad guy to make sense, be right, and completely justified in their actions. That's not what a bad guy is supposed to be. At best, you should debate about whether they are right or wrong, and Psycho-Pass gives us the platform for that. Is the bad guy wrong? He's giving space for latent criminals in society by causing chaos. But then again, chaos is bad because people are dying and crime is rising. But then again, the Sybil system oppresses those who have not done anything wrong. See? That's how it should be, and Psycho-Pass does not disappoint. I have nothing but praise for the show, and the themes it dives into are amazing to look at. I will go watch the movie that ends it all and see if it really does end on a high note or if it's just a basic ending. I know it's not going to be bad, but I'm hoping that it's just as good as the series. In the meantime, you can check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and any other videos that we have on this channel. We've got a lot of stuff here worth checking out. I'll see you around.